No, see, then
And now
share.
we're live. Hi, everyone.
Okay, all right. Now we're live. All right. Hello, everybody. It is time for this gangbusters show you've all been waiting for. It's been a while.
Hello, hello.
I'm here with Kathy Beal. My camera on StreamYard is finally working to my delight the way I want it to work. So I hope that everyone's doing great. Thank you to Terry, who's behind the scenes producing. Today's Tuesday, September 17th, 2024, and we are on the brink of a full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces. It hits around 10:30, I believe, tonight Eastern time. And let's just start by asking you how you are. What's up?
I've been doing things that fit, not intentionally, but that end up fitting all of the astrological energies. I had a long weekend in the city where I was born, hanging out with my favorite cousins in a plot in a graveyard that hasn't been touched for 80 years, adding their mother, my favorite aunt, to the grave of our grandmother who died before we were born, and crawling around all kinds of streets and houses and seeing old ancestors' places. And it was, going to places I'd been as a tiny kid. And it was a really, really wonderful weekend. I also went to a place called Space Bar, where all of the drinks have a space theme. It was great.
Sounds like Star Wars, the Star Wars bar.
Nope, wasn't Star Wars. Although there was a Darth Vader drink, but there's a moon landing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool. Where did you go? You said you went away, and where was it?
I was in Pittsburgh, and all the way across the state, I drove with friends. I had a pad of sticky notes that I had handwritten with, "Woman to woman, your vote is private. No one needs to know you voted for Kamala. Protect women's rights." Things along those lines, and I stuck them in restrooms from the east to the west.
Good for you. Yeah, that's like those little cards that I have about Project 2025. I've got a bunch more if anybody needs them. Just annetteon7@gmail.com. I can send you some. But, just put them everywhere. So that's great. Did you see a lot of Trump signs or less?
I saw a fair amount.
Like, were you surprised?
But I will report that my cousins are huge sports fans. So I watched all kinds of games I don't know anything about. And Sunday night, during a broadcast of the Steelers game in a sports bar, the Harris campaign had multiple ads during the football game, during the Steelers game, and they were all about building jobs, and nobody made any noise. No one was like, it was great. I was like, oh, this is perfect.
Well, and too, just on that topic, it's like this Trump thing is like I'm macho man. Nothing could be less macho than him, and when you look at like steelworker jobs and unions and, really the kind of more masculine traditionally jobs, and that's the football fan, I'm just talking in generalizations. That's the sort of the image of the guy that's into football, right? And it's more in alignment with like a Tim Walz than a Donald Trump.
You would think, if they actually have.
But it is, right? We can't really.
No, I agree.
That's not noticeable. I think that what's going on right now is we're getting people to think. It's like, what is macho anyway? So that's great. I think that's probably really impactful.
Well, there's actually one other thing about the trip I want to mention. Did anyone see the video from about a week ago of Kamala going into a spice store and a woman bursting into tears and her going up to her? Okay, that was on the Strip in Pittsburgh. That was the Penzi Spices. So Sunday morning, I made a special trip down there. It was like a mile and a half from where I was staying, but still I wanted to do it quickly. So I used a Lyft, and my driver was wearing a mask, and be very loquacious. And he asked me about, where are you from? And I went, long story. I was born here, don't live here anymore. Told him about why I was there, what I was doing, what I do now. And he said he was also from the town and a retired vet. He'd been in the military for 20 plus years. and just going, gave me some tips about things to see. And when we pulled up to the strip, he said, "Well, it says we're here. I don't see the store." And I went, "Oh, no, that's fine." And then I explained to him why I was there. And I said, "The vice president came to this store last week, and Trump and Fox have been blasting her, and he didn't know about this." And he said, "Why?" And we both looked at each other, and we locked eyes and went. It was great. It was this moment of.
I know. It's like, what
and he went, and so then I told him about my sticky notes, and he said, "Vote." And I got out of the car and went, "Yes." So,
Yeah,
and it was 5 minutes after opening, and there were maybe 6 other customers already in the store. And they've been doing a pretty good amount of business. I put something up on Threads about going there, and I got more likes or more notices than anything I've ever posted in all my time online, with a lot of people saying that what I said was BS. And I've had people arguing with me about Pensie's brought this on themselves, including.
What do you mean what you said was BS? What is it that you said that was BS that they're saying?
That they were in financial trouble because Trump had decided to go after them because they let his opponent into the store. And I had received multiple email messages from the owner of the company.
You know what it's doing to my brain now at this stage of the game? It's like, wait, how did they contort that to make it seem like you were against? You know what I mean? It's like,
oh no, the thing coming back at me is that this company had decided that it could do without the business of conservatives. No, not conservatives. Pro-insurrectionists. They're real clear about it, but this flushed out a friend of mine from law school. I went, "Oh, so you're a Trumper. Okay, well, been nice knowing you."
Excuse me, I'm just trying to make the connection between Pensie Spices being a problem with MAGA. Like,
because they let Kamala Harris into the store. Also, they're rabidly pro-democracy. They're pro-democracy like crazy.
Hello, everybody. That's the problem with people that are Americans that love democracy. That is what they're looking at as that's why you're a problem, because you are for democracy. Sometimes, I don't know, sometimes I just have to say it.
Well, anyway.
That's why I was so befuddled. Like, what were they actually having a problem with? What they were actually having a problem with is that this spice company that's very famous is pro, business and pro let's do our thing and pro democracy. And they are MAGA is starting to seem like, not just to me, I think to the mainstream, ridiculous. Just over the top. WTF, what are you guys even saying? I just heard somebody on Fox having a problem, and maybe we can look at this, going on and on and on. They're wanting to subpoena ABC and David Muir and the other woman, I don't remember her name, but they're saying that she was Kamala's sorority sister. She wasn't, but so what if she was? They're taking issue. They're trying to sue ABC because, see, this is what I'm saying. It's boggling my brain. It's like, okay, what are they coming up with to sue ABC? They want to put them on trial. They think they're in Russia. I say it all the time. They want to put this mainstream media channel, which has been very kind to Trump. I love when they say, like, "Oh, well, they don't let him speak." You've heard that one, right? They don't let him speak, like the Melania ad. Have you seen that one?
No.
Oh, my husband. I just heard it. Bear with me. I just heard it a few minutes ago. And it's this dystopian kind of ad. And she's like, "Oh, when we entered the White House, our lives totally changed. And then they invaded my privacy and they wouldn't let my husband speak." We have heard nothing but his ugly voice for the past 9 years.
Oh my God!
Way more than we want to hear him. Oh, you've got to see this. It's really strange. These people are weird. Extremely weird. Anyway,
well, this fits the energies of this particular lunar eclipse. This is a great segue. Yeah. All right. Lunar eclipses are times of massive culmination of stories coming to a chapter ending, maybe not the end of the story, but dramas amplify and amplify and amplify. Lunar eclipses bring the beginnings of big endings. They bring revelations. They bring departures. This one is in the sign of absolute interconnectedness. So like no boundaries. And the planet of no boundaries is on top of the moon. Neptune is right there. And this is there are a couple of cycles happening now. This one is starting an eclipse cycle that's going to be with us until March of 2027. That will have a lot to do with drowning in other people's stuff as opposed to boundaries. So healthy boundaries, clear thinking, analytical thinking, giving it over to something just like, just letting go, being very, very earthbound and healthy, and again, analytical, or completely unmooring from worldly reality. This could be really wonderful for creativity. It could also confuse the you-know-what out of people. If someone has a substance problem, this could amplify it. I have been witnessing this in people around me. Oh my God.
You mean today? You mean this?
Well, just over the weekend, the level of confusion some people have had because of this has been mind-boggling. Your camera is now doing a little.
I don't know.
Anyway, but there's a second aspect to it. All right. So this is setting something off that we're going to be dealing with for 2.5 years. And this cycle is mostly about wrapping up and endings. The one we've been in, which isn't over yet, that we've been in since March of 2023, involving the signs of Aries and Libra, has been a very forward moving, propelling people into self-determination and more autonomy. This one revisits the notion of, hey, when you're not completely a free agent, there are other people in the mix. How much are you being influenced by them, pulled back by them, whatever? So that's thing one. Yeah. The other big thing I want to put in here is this particular moment is part of a 2.5 month collaboration, let's use that word, between Neptune nearing the end of the sign of Pisces and nearing the end of his time in Pisces, and Uranus, which is sudden change, breaking habits, breaking patterns, shocking news, startling news, volatility, and nearing the end of his time in Taurus, and Pluto at the end of Capricorn. So there's this, they're all kind of working together, integrating, bringing stuff up that goes back through all of their time. So we're looking at stuff coming up that's been going on since 2008, when Pluto entered Capricorn and started the deconstruction of our institutions. We're looking at stuff since 2011, when Neptune entered Pisces and started the fake news, what's real, what's not real, and all the whole social media stuff is part of that too. And then Uranus in Taurus since 2019. So there is a lot of stuff amplifying the shocking aspects of the news and the revelations coming out, and also the salacious ones. And I would say that Sean Combs's indictment yesterday is a really good example of this. Something that's been in the works for a while. It involves sex trafficking. It involves victimizing. There are any number of things from the news just lately that fit this, doubling down on telling lies, even if it hurts people, because it gets media attention. We don't have to say who said that. The leak of the memo about how John Roberts masterminded stuff to protect Trump. Well, that's a nice thought. So you can look at all kinds of things, and also happening in your own life, stuff coming up, some of it for like the last time in your life you'll have to deal with it in this way with the Pluto and Capricorn bit, because in the middle of November, Pluto moves into the mode it's going to be for the next 20 years. So we're finishing a lot of things up. All of these planets are moving into signs, into different modes next year, and the energy will be radically different by the middle of the year next year. So expect maximum confusion now, maximum gaslighting now, maximum WATF now.
WATF? What?
What the
What?
actual F?
Oh, WTAF. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. See, confusion. If you've been talking to the people I've been talking to lately.
My camera's moving. It kind of fits, right? My camera's moving all over the place. I just, a little housekeeping. I have to apologize. I cannot see any chat. The chat is not showing on my screen, but I finally got this thing arranged that I can see myself and I can see you. So just so you know, I can't see the chat, so I'm not ignoring everybody. I'm just, focused on Kathy and what she's saying, because she's saying a lot. And I always want to rewind and go, wait, what about that? What about that? Uranus has been in Taurus since 2019, and when does it change?
It starts its crossover into Gemini next year. It goes back and forth, back and forth. So next year.
So that's a very different energy.
Well, and then Saturn and Neptune are both going to move into Aries. Very different.
It feels really accelerated, right? It feels like things are really going to accelerate with all that.
Yes.
Going on. And last year, to me, as I recall, felt like the year of eclipses. Was that just my imagination?
You might have just been more aware of them. There are always 5 or 6 eclipses a year.
They were just kind of kick you in the ass, kind of, weren't they? I just remember it being that way. Like, whoa, I can feel that eclipse. Kind of.
Well, last year's eclipses were part of rewriting our relationship ground rules, which would affect everybody, even if it isn't hitting something in your chart. They were changing how we relate to other people and upgrading our relationships with ourselves and sticking sticks of dynamite into people's backsides and making them go forward. And it's like getting Red Bull on an IV drip or something.
Yeah. Did you feel like you saw that kind of thing happening?
Yes.
Like, do you have an example of, like, in general, people kind of working on their way of connecting with one another?
No, well, just a lot of people saying, I'm going to go do my own thing.
Oh,
a lot of people.
That's not really
well, no, because it's moved us from thinking in advance. There are a lot of people. This is the way in the South, a lot of women, and I know men like this too. There's this mindset of taking other people into account before you do something and trying to arrange the game board to try to get people's buy-in and to think of what do I have to do to get people to do what I want to do, a certain level of manipulativeness. And that is being blown out. Just go here's what I'm doing. You want to come? Okay. You don't? Fine. Shunk.
Well, it seems like it's peaking out right now. It seems like it's at its peak right now.
Well, we've got an eclipse in this family coming early in October. So yes.
As far as, well, it hasn't been like really, really recent, but this whole MAGA Christian nationalist movement of, like Tim Walz says, it's none of your damn business what,
okay. I can tie that to the current eclipse. This eclipse is on top of the U.S. Neptune. We have Neptune in Virgo in the 9th house. Let me explain that. This is the 9th house is policies, laws, beliefs, relationships with other countries, attitude about people who are born far away from where you are, and the legal system. Neptune in Virgo at first embodied the concept of separation between church and state. It also baked into our being. It's kind of a marker for racism, for lines between you and me, you and the other, and always kind of criticizing those from other countries in there from the very beginning. And in recent years, Neptune in the sky has been opposite that, kind of like dissolving the notion of the separation between church and state. Neptune's been going back to where it was as the Civil War started. The GOP had its Neptune return, and this eclipse is highlighting all of that. And this eclipse, right now, we have a moment of people being victimized and having to change their lives because they have been accused. Two things going with the immigrant
things that
thing,
aren't happening.
with
Right.
things that aren't happening, but also there's a police chief in Ohio who's been telling people to walk around and mark down the addresses of people who have Harris Walz signs in their yard so that after the election, those people can be targeted when he didn't use the word locusts, or he might have. Anyway, the notion was when all the pests start streaming in here, those people have shown they'll take immigrants, we'll just send them to them. And somebody resigned from a high-level position in the Republican Party in that area because he was so horrified at this statement. And that embodies this kind of thing that's been going on. So we're at like peak revelation of what really has been the beliefs, the creepy crawlies that have been running around, the fears, the propaganda, mischaracterization, all kinds of unpleasantness.
So, all right. So I hadn't heard that story. Somebody mentioned something in the chat about people being doxxed that have Harris Walz lawn signs and all that. Somebody mentioned that in the chat last night. I hadn't heard that until then. And you're mentioning a police officer.
No, police chief. Police chief.
How does you might not know, how does a police chief not have a system of checks on him?
It depends on who hires him. If I don't know if it's a city council in his town or what. It depends on.
You haven't looked up any astrology for Ohio?
Oh, no. It's too much. I can't do everything.
I thought, it's like when I'm curious, I take out the cards.
I'm still unpacking.
Why Ohio?
It was a sheriff. Thank you, Kimmy G.
Like, why Ohio? Was there something going on astrologically? Well, it's interesting that J.D. Vance is, it's his home state. And also, I never got that he won that election legitimately.
I suspect he didn't.
So Tim, what's his name? Won that.
So JD Vance, he doesn't have a whole lot.
Tim Ryan, I think it was.
Oh, that's right, Tim Ryan. JD Vance. Actually, what this eclipse, what this time is doing for him is amplifying his communicating publicly about his notion of what relationships are supposed to be and what his view of what women should be.
You're kidding.
That's what really, and in a way that could bring a lot of talk about families, but also a lot of pushback. So he could get pushback, but the person who is mostly being activated, hit, whatever by this eclipse is who you think.
But it's not J.D. Vance?
The one who's most getting hit? Oh, no. Trump's most getting hit.
I was saying last night on my PNN, I was in rare form last night. No, you weren't there, right? I was really, really angry about a lot of things that are going on in the political system. And plus the full moon. So I had to just be frank with people, and I'm just pitchy tonight. But the way that I've never seen somebody so be, and this includes Trump, so despicable, so revolting. I mean, I know we feel that way about Trump, but we're kind of used to him. J.D. Vance takes it to a whole new level. Like, he's so pompous. He's so damn arrogant. He's a frightening character because we don't want him anywhere near power. He doesn't know what's going on at all. He's clueless about how government works. He's only been in politics for what? How long has he been a senator?
Year and a half, maybe.
A year and a half. He, just like Trump, he doesn't know anything about world politics or, our history, or he doesn't know anything about anything as far as I'm concerned. And he gets on these news programs and he acts like he's good. Like, who put him in charge? And don't even get me started about the eyeliner. because he's telling people that they should hate people that are, different. Well, what about him? You have his chart. Did you look at that?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is he is not the one that's really getting hit by this eclipse.
I know.
This eclipse is mostly just amping up his messaging. It's amping up his messaging.
I'm being selfish and greedy. Tell me what's going to happen to JD Vance.
I don't know.
Maybe you can tell by what do you mean you don't know? That's your job.
Well, I mean,
that's what people say to me. I'm just teasing.
No, I mean, there are
well, they're linked, so what happens to one is going to affect the other.
I'm gonna say the October eclipse is a little harder for him, and I don't understand how his marriage is surviving, although you don't see his wife in public. Somebody asked him about asked him, actually mentioned the potential for the smell of curry in the White House. All right.
I know.
Think about that. And his wife is come on. Anyway.
That's what I said. That's when I was saying earlier. It's boggling my brain trying to figure out what the insult or the attack is. Because they're not making any sense.
Well, and that fits with all of this Neptunian energy. All right.
There's an eclipse next month too.
This is maximum gaslighting, like taking the stuff up bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. A full moon amplifies, a lunar eclipse amplifies to the 100th power. Neptune's right on top of it. So that just the lines between reality and what's real and what's illusion and what's lie completely obliterated right now. The waters will recede, but right now take a lot of stuff under like, okay, interesting, maybe not, we'll wait and see. Right. But tons and tons and tons of Thai curry is really good. Oh, now there's a curry thread going on.
I know, it makes me feel like having Indian food.
Fine, great.
You can see the chat.
I derailed myself. Good. All right.
You can see the chat. I can't see.
No, I can see the chat.
No, we're looking at JD.
Anyway, so things are, but there's also a coming to light aspect. So look at like what stuff is coming up to the surface. The fact that the Meta has banned Russian television from its platform today. Because of its posting disinformation, trying to interfere with the election. That's pretty big. The DOJ indicting the people in Russia who fed money into a media company in the US to spread misinformation among influencers. So you're going to see that there are lots and lots of Russia things coming up and coming up and coming up, and stuff that's been floating around for years coming back and like, we were right. We weren't making this up. This stuff was there. Now, find a way in your own life. This is all about the people who have been sucking all the air out of the room for years. Look at your own life. Okay. Is there something having to do with your ancestors? That's what my time has been like. Anything with ancestral issues, with where you put your feet on the ground physically and metaphorically, what your foundation and infrastructure is, how things have changed there. Are you being called upon to have a more compassionate and forgiving attitude toward people in your family or toward stuff that's molded your life? This past weekend, I learned all kinds of things about family background. I thought I knew the story pretty well. There were pieces from this, not directly my side, but close, that made a lot of things make sense once I got them. So look for that kind of thing in your life and see how you can be freed, liberated from the old stories you've been telling, and particularly the ones that you have let victimize you.
Right.
And I really encourage people to look at stuff from that perspective right now.
So the astrological weather is good for throwing out old generational useless programs?
Yeah, and also getting an understanding of what they are, where they came from, what they've done to you, how they have molded your view of, where you are in the world. And to personal example, I was with a bunch of people, all of our parents were from Pittsburgh. All of our grandparents were from Pittsburgh. All of us have moved away. A few of us were born there, maybe four out of this group of 13 people who showed up there. And uniformly, the reaction as the weekend went on was, this is a livable place. My God, I could move here, which is like nothing, because we are from people who fled screaming, like, I'm not going back there at all. So there may be something equivalent going on inside you. Might not have to do with geography, might not specifically have to do with family, but something that has been a pivotal part of how you have viewed reality, maybe some things that it would do you good to forgive yourself for and to forgive other people for.
Yeah, you have to
Wash it away.
you have to kind of have it revealed first. And some of it is past lifetimes, but my guides tell me we incarnated into the same family lineage about 70% of the time. So you said your family fled?
Oh, everybody moved away, and at least my bloodline, my specific family, they had this, we're not going back. I mean,
Right.
after my family moved away, I was there once with them, and we had grandparents still there, but we did not go back. We didn't go see them. We hardly communicated with them. And
So
I've been in this town 3 times, now 4 times as an adult, 4 times since I was about 11 years old, and twice just for a day. So
what's the astrological kind of arrangement that made that really pivotal for you?
The going back there.
Yeah, like, because we're talking about the astrological impact of what's going on now astrologically. So that's connected to the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces or something else that was
All of the fact that the 3 outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, are all very close. They're all working together until Pluto clears out of Aquarius in the middle of November. So from beginning of September to November 18, there's this unusual, you'll hear some people talk about like a minor grand trine. They're all in harmonious, cooperative relationships with each other. So it's very easy to suddenly see something differently. It's very easy to spy what's been lurking down there.
Yeah.
It's the stuff is like, oh, there it is. Whoa, that's.
Yeah, I've had that experience several times in my life where I go, gosh, why have I had this problem my whole life? And then all of a sudden I see this family pattern. And then what's really beautiful about that is you can tend to personalize it less. I mean, like if your family's really like offensive to you, and then you see that that's been going on, for generations, and then you're like, oh, it's not me, it's just how they're wired, It's like that, for example. So it sounds like this energy right now that's going on is really good for us to look at where we came from and how that made us who we are, and the unfavorable aspects we can kind of look at and purge. I advise for people to, when it comes up, just to notice, like say if it's a LAC program, when it comes up, to just, rather than fight with it, just go, oh, that's interesting. I can see how my grandparents or great grandparents were products of the Great Depression. They almost starved, and to just kind of go, isn't that interesting? Because it feels like it doesn't maybe come from you personally, your own personal experience, but you just kind of walk around with it all the time, right? I did a reading for somebody, just a brief reading the other night, and I picked up from her for a past lifetime, which was probably in the same family line, where she was like, hurry up and get it done before they catch us. Like her whole life was, and she reported to me that it is like that for her. She's always like, hurry up and get it all set up, so then run away. Get ready to run. Get ready to flee. So it was interesting that you said that. And when I started to talk about this past life pattern, she really confirmed that even her boyfriend that was sitting right there said, Oh yeah, I'm always telling her it's gonna be fine. Like when you get back, it'll still be there. That kind of a feeling. So that's so fascinating. The other thing I want to ask you about is you're saying, I mean, we have a full moon lunar eclipse. It seems like the lunar eclipse is followed by a solar eclipse. Is that the case?
Well, the new moon in October is going to be a solar eclipse.
Does that always happen? Excuse my
No.
ignorance. It just seems like it happens a lot.
Well,
Like,
the eclipses happen in pairs,
oh, okay.
but
Yeah. All right.
and these are in different signs because we're starting the crossover, but they aren't always in a particular
Yeah, I
order.
wonder because it just seems to happen a lot. And do you think it's really significant that we have this full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces and then the solar eclipse in Libra, right?
Yeah.
And
Um,
and it being the precursor to an election.
oh, okay. Two things about that. The first is that eclipse in November, I'm sorry, in October is helping to install or upgrade our how we deal with each other. So what the social contract is, what our relationship assumptions are. So it's moving from I got to do this for me to okay, now we're at a moment of how are we all together. So these two eclipses are both dealing with some aspect of connectivity, with Pisces being the complete blurring and Libra being we're all in this. You got to figure out how we're going to get along,
Oh
and
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, Libra.
uh, but I also want to mention that the crossover between eclipses in Aries and Libra and Pisces and Virgo happened in the summer of was precursor for that was the summer of 1968 when there was a Democratic National Convention in Chicago where there was a terrific amount of turmoil and a number of successful assassinations. So
Right.
now we're in there's a kind of a there it's not a complete repeat, but there's some of that vibe, and
Right.
it's before the election. So we're coming up with we're dealing with seeing an awful lot of agitprop and propaganda and fake news and gaslighting.
It's amping
And
up. It's definitely amping up.
yes, when that would with full moon and with the lunar eclipse and with Pisces in with Neptune on top of it all, it would be like larger than larger than larger. And then with the solar eclipse in Libra, it's like reset, bam, how we're going to deal with things. And that kind of fits reset Libra. One of the candidates.
Right?
One of the candidates is a Libra. Interesting. Okay, so
true. Yeah, yeah. And Libra to me is about relationships.
well,
Right?
it's relationships and how like what the ground rules are, how we get along. And there's an element of playing nice, which could also be manipulation. And that's kind of like the Pisces stuff, but in a different way. There's a deliberateness. Well, maybe not a lying, but I'm setting things up in a way so that other people will buy into what I'm doing, or I'm playing nice. Or
did you see Marjorie Trader Green playing nice? Did you catch that?
she's jealous.
Oh my god. Oh well, we Muggers, we don't stand for racism. Laura Loomer's racist. I didn't ask you to look up Laura Loomer.
I'm not going to.
How did I miss that?
I'm not going to look her up. I know people are asking for it. I'm not going to look her up.
I don't blame you. You don't even know what sign she is?
I haven't. No, I don't.
I don't blame you. It's a topic. All right. So you were going to look at Trump for us.
Okay. Now there's a lot.
Man, it's you don't think it can get any more bizarre, and then it does.
So the energies of this eclipse are amplifying his blowhardness, his lying, his okay. So yeah, we've heard him. He does it all the time, but this is even more. So amplify.
What do you think he's going to come up with? What do you think the next thing is going to be?
I have no idea, but it's amplifying the lies, just absolutely amplifying them. I would suspect immigrants to still be really high on the list. He's not out of the woods with people going after him
You mean with a gun kind of
or
thing?
something, attacks. Yeah, not out of the woods. They also, there is an influence with this of some people just standing back and going, I know this seems impossible. That's a line too far. Some of people actually starting to say, oh no, this is insane.
I think
More,
I think it's cumulative. I think that we're finally. I wrote about this morning in my article that's on Substack and Grassroots of Democracy. We are really coming to a point of, are you effing kidding me? Really? You're really gonna pull that? Like, we're exhausted.
well, yes, we are, but there are also issues with women, issues
Yeah.
with women, female prosecutors, a problem,
Yeah.
women just being a problem. Kamala is a problem for him. I mean, okay.
Oh, yeah.
And there is some all year long. Okay. I mentioned, I've said this several times, that an illegal Iron Maiden has closed on him and that the doors shut on August 19th, which is when the Democratic
Right.
National Convention was.
That's right.
All right. Now there is a marker in his birthday chart, his solar return chart, his birthday in June, that has that in place into next summer. All right. The legal closing, door closing impact of that in place through next summer. So that's something that is kind of that is more than inescapable. Time periods that will make people happy. All right. This next eclipse, the solar eclipse, lights up his Neptune fantasy illusion. I am in Libra relationships in his money house. So that's going to be the release of the Apprentice movie that fits this, but also something happening that's really going to bring to light the complete illusion of his wealth. We've known it, we've seen it, but this next eclipse is big in that process. Then, just since June 4th of this year was the first of 3. I've mentioned a wrecking ball hitting his. So the wrecking ball really hit reputation, life, career, home, marriage, family, all of that. The beginning of June, it goes across this same spot, December 8th. So just keep in the back of your mind something pivotal early in December. And the final time is March 23rd. One possible playing out of this is that legal proceedings that are truly threatening to him have pivotal moments early in December, including it's definitely within the realm of possibility that the Manhattan court gives him a jail sentence, which he may or may not serve. I mean, they might, let him go out. But then in March, another astrologer friend of mine, Andy Brewer, for anybody else who follows him, Andy and I were talking about these, and he went March 23rd. That's the date he goes to jail. So I don't know. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, but something really big. Maybe he loses a piece of property that has been a home. But he's in this trajectory of trouble.
He could lose Mar-a-Lago. I could totally see him lose.
Oh yeah. No, I do think that's highly probable.
And we've been talking all year, for probably a year now, about how we see a decline in his health. And I really think that because it was coming through so strongly for me, and it still is, I think his mental condition is showing us his physical condition, because you can't separate the two.
Right.
I mean, what you take in, how you treat your body is definitely affects your brain. Even something as small as, like, or seemingly not that important as, if you don't hydrate, you get fog brain, right? If you don't have enough water, your brain doesn't work very well because your brain, like, as it conducts electricity, and you need that water. He's not had a healthy lifestyle ever. I heard Michael
No.
Cohen saying a couple times, he's mentioned that Trump belongs to the school of, which is crazy. I don't know if you've heard this. If you exercise, then you have less life energy because you're using it up too fast when you're exercising. So to conserve your physical energy and longevity, you shouldn't exercise. Have you heard Michael Cohen talk about that? I don't know what you'd call that, the school of idiocy when it comes to health, perhaps, but his decline mentally, I think, is what I'm seeing. But I also do feel like that's definitely because it's so strong. It's such a strong impression how sick he is, and it's body and mind. They're definitely connected.
I agree. And when I said that the legal Iron Maiden closed in on him on August 19th, the planet in his chart that it constrained rules his health.
Okay.
So, and that's tied in with all of this. And his solar return chart, the chart in June for when the sun came back to where it was when he was born, which sets the tone for the next year, is all about confinement. How frequently have you seen him in public? Not that often. For a campaigner, he crops up here and there, but he's been largely playing golf or hanging out at a resort or doing this or that.
You know what that's a sign of? Is just because, family members, they get old, they get early onset dementia. That's one of the first signs, is they don't want to really be out. Because, they might say something and then keep repeating themselves, or bump into somebody and really have no idea who they are or what their names are, even though they know them really, really, really well. So early dementia can be sort of indicated by a person going a little bit more and more into isolation because it's more uncomfortable, because it's kind of like you don't know if your brain's going to work or not. And I feel like he's in that. And then when he does come out and say something, it's like, what?
Yeah, and I'm saying astrologically, he's got a year of confinement. So that can be ultimately institutionalization, right, or illness, or something that's not letting him wander around freely in public. And that's not going away.
What's his chart look like on election day?
He'll be making a lot of noise. A lot of noise. He will not be quiet. He will not be quiet. I looked briefly to see if maybe, is he going to like keel over or have some event right for that? Because there's something that's kind of unpredictable just in general about election day, but it's not definitive for him. And for anyone freaking out, let me assure you, on August 19th, when the Democratic National Convention started, Venus, which rules women, in Virgo, which is, let's be sensible, let's look at the, Venus opposed Saturn, which is government, ruling, the old guy, whatever. That's actually the heartful dad, big dad energy. That's actually the Harris Walz ticket, honestly.
Yeah, totally makes sense.
On January 20th next year, Venus will have traveled around and will be conjunct Saturn, not opposite, conjunct at the top of the chart. And I mean,
that's not male power, that's female power.
If that's not a woman, I mean, either it is the government completely squelching women, or I think much more likely.
Wait.
No, I think it's much more likely that it's a
female.
It's a woman president. Yeah, I showed this to another astrologer friend of mine, Alex Miller. For those of you who see my asteroid conversations sometimes on my Celestial Compass show, I told him about that chart, and the first words out of his mouth was, "Sounds like a female president." I went, "That's what I'm saying."
Yeah,
but right. it's the progression. Like it was seeded at the beginning of the convention, and then these two things that were looking at each other are now teamed on that day.
He's been coming unglued with did you see that he posted, "I hate Taylor Swift"?
That's a real smart thing. And they
she said sarcastically.
the football girlfriend who was a big supporter of his that Taylor actually hugged a little while ago, apparently is now really upset at what Trump did to Taylor and rethinking her support.
Well, you saw that, you may have seen this, that somebody was posting a picture of Taylor and she was sad. She was upset because I think one of her young fans had died of cancer and she was leaving like a hospital or something and she was crying. And they actually put a fake story that, MAGA, that she was crying because she just suffered a huge financial loss. I mean, it's just totally ludicrous, the stuff they're coming up with. But we had done a show. That was all the shows were awesome. But remember the show when you read Taylor's chart and it was like she was one of the women that was going to kind of take him down? Remember that? I don't know what it was specifically.
Yeah, she has. Yeah, no. She's, yeah. I don't have her chart in front of me.
She's otherworldly. To me, she's otherworldly. She really, I would agree. Has something about her that's just like from somewhere else. And Kamala's got a really strong divine, really, what a beautiful combination. She's like, she has the charm, she has the groundedness, she has the approachability. I loved seeing her in that spice shop.
Oh, and get this, between now and May, her visibility and her looking good and her moving into what her true calling is just grows and grows and grows and grows. And the eclipse chart overlaid on her chart is enormously healing for her own personal wounding of being an immigrant, of not and feeling the pain of other people.
Yeah, she's not an immigrant, but
her background.
Yeah.
So there's something enormously healing going on here, and add to that, there is an element of spiritual calling in what she's doing. In that regard, she's like Biden. Biden actually has like higher purpose, higher power, higher calling stuff in his chart, which also showed up on the day he decided to hand the authority over to her. And she's like, it's part of what she's supposed to do to help heal. And that's an aspect of this chart.
Yeah. Well, they're saving the world. They're saving the world.
And it's part of what she came in to do. I have mentioned before that she has a signature in her chart that people born in the mid-60s have, with a conjunction of the two planets that are change agents. Uranus, which is knocking things upside the head, really sudden, volatile changes in perspective, doing shocking different things, and Pluto, which is unavoidable, systemic, evolutionary level change. So she's got that fused, and right now that's coming into play with this eclipse. It's like the authority, the mantle is in view for her to be able to do something with that. And Venus, I mentioned Venus, is on top of that right now, the Venus in the sky. And in January, on Inauguration Day, Venus and Saturn will be together in her career house. So this moment is real important for her getting to that VP debate. I haven't even looked at when it is. There's a question about what are the planets.
I think I heard October 1st, and I also heard when the Apprentice movie comes out, I heard October 11th.
If that debate is October 1st, that means it's right at the solar eclipse in Libra, which is October 2nd. And that is a difficult time for Trump. Criminality could come out. Gee, imagine that there would be more. I didn't say that. I did not say that. You didn't hear me say that. But okay, for Vance, that eclipse It's all tricky. It's tricky for him. It's also tricky for him. And if there's any kind of sordid behind the scenes, weird whatever that he's been up to, that
Oh,
eclipse could flush it out.
I can't even tell you.
And
Every single time I read on him, I see that he's committed a massive crime, if not more than one.
I wouldn't be surprised. Whereas for Walz, that eclipse
Piece of cake.
doesn't slam him in any way.
He'll just have
Doesn't slam him in any way. So
he'll just have a good time.
and actually it will be
words.
Actually that eclipse will kind of it'll start a new phase in his family's. Oh no. It'll start a new phase in his family's life with an upgrade. So that eclipse could be pivotal for him having to move.
Honey, I want a divorce.
I don't mean that way.
Having to move? What do you mean having to move?
I'm talking about Walz. It'd be pivotal for him having to move.
Oh, I thought you were talking about JD.
No. For Walz, moving his family.
Right.
Moving his family.
We were talking about JD.
I know, but then I switched. I started talking about Walz, and it's not really hitting anything bad or hard in his chart, except for anyway, he may move as a result.
You mean that
to the Naval Observatory? This may be a propelling moment for him moving to Washington again.
Yeah, and he'll move in January.
Right, but eclipses don't happen. They set things in motion. All right.
Yeah. Well, that's what we've seen. That's really for sure. So JD, for what sign is JD?
He's a Leo.
Oh,
and what's scary is that his sun is on Trump's Pluto, and both of them have these in the 12th house, which is
hidden
stuff behind the scenes, but it's also a house of criminality. Now, I am not saying that people with 12th house planets all end up doing shady things. My son is in the 12th house. A lot of presidents' sons are in the 12th house. It's like you can work behind the scenes with this. His son is in the 12th house. He can work behind the scenes. That's Vance. Trump's Pluto is in the 12th house. That's shady dealings behind the scenes.
Well, you know what they call JD Vance. You know
shady
they call
Vance.
JD Vance. Yeah, so that totally fits. I keep seeing, it's driving me a little crazy because I keep seeing every time I read on JD Vance, it's like, what is this big crime? I just keep seeing something. It feels like Russian connected. And
well, I mean,
like
he's definitely, he's got the link to Peter Thiel, so who knows what the hell that's about.
Right. It's complicated and there are many layers, but they're being found out. And I feel like he's going to be outed. Maybe in more ways than one.
Innocent potato, I am saying that Walz will be moving to Washington, D.C.
Yeah, sorry, because
I'm saying that.
Let me mind on JD when you were talking.
Spawn of Chucky. Oh God.
That's why I said divorce when you said there would be a change. I wonder if JD Vance is going to stay married. I just wonder. I feel like his wife has been trained to be super subservient. That is part of the culture in India. In some parts of India, as women are very much, they have to play their role as wife and mother. Anyway, so it's tonight, the full moon lunar eclipse. I feel like we're in a good place, and I feel like we could get swayed by just this deluge of lies that are just so outrageous that we have thought that we've heard the most outrageous lies, but it's just going to be more and more and more. That's what I felt, and you confirmed it. So don't let it throw you, everybody. Don't let it freak you out. Just keep coming to our shows. I'm here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Come to Grassroots of Democracy. We're in this together. We signed up for this. Do you feel that? I mean,
oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
We knew. Our little souls knew before they incarnated. It was like we probably had this future, in front of us. Like, are you sure you want to go there? And we said yes. So full moon lunar eclipse. Are you doing any full moon lunar eclipse rituals or anything?
Probably going to take a bath, which is what I recommend to people.
That's a good idea. I'm going to put my crystal ball out under the moonlight, and I'll probably go look at the moon on on the ocean, but it just clouded up for the first time here in weeks. We've had
Starting to cloud now too.
yeah, we've had bright sun for like 4 weeks on end. We're going into drought, you know, it's the state of drought. But yeah, so tonight might be really nice. Tonight we have, every Tuesday we have Grassroots of Democracy. Hang on, I paused for motorcycles. Grassroots of Democracy, guided meditation for a healed America, and that's tonight. If you're not signed up, put your email address in grassrootsofdemocracy.com. Since it's a little bit late and we've already sent out the invite, you could email me and I'll forward it to you if you want to come and you're not signed up. AnnetteDion7@gmail.com. Anyway, and I've got classes coming up. Tarot classes coming up. Tap into your psychic abilities. It is psychic season. We're starting September 21st. I was a bit remiss on getting this promoted with enough time for people to know about it. So the first class is Saturday. Do it now. PsychicAnnetteDion.com. What you got?
My forecasts are at empowermentunlimited.net and my YouTube channel, which is Professional Aquarian. At my Patreon, at the lowest level, I've got an analysis of the solstice equinox chart. We didn't even talk about the equinox.
Yeah, I know.
Equinox is on the 22nd. It's on Sunday, and the energies that are floating around now are with us through the next 3 months. As like a background program. So all this stuff, it'll still be floating around. Thomas has been posting dad jokes at my Patreon too, so you can do that
really?
there.
At your Patreon, you mean like, do you have like shows?
I have a community board and people post dad jokes.
Oh, okay, because you can do shows on Patreon too.
Oh no, I haven't. No, there are differing levels, and I haven't asked me almost anything once a month. And this month it is next Wednesday, not this week. It's usually in the middle of the month, but because of my travel schedule, it's next week. And people can submit questions, and it's a very underutilized resource. So you have a huge probability of having a question answered if you do that. And you're moving around again.
I don't understand
Just to show your flag. There we go.
There's a ghost in the machine. I don't get it. Anyway, you're the second person that said that. Because I did a show with Irish Granny Tarot yesterday, and she has some kind of a show where you can come and you can ask anything. She's like, nobody's asking anything, and I'm like, come on, please, take advantage.
I have 2 members of my Patreon who always have questions.
Oh, well, that's good. That's
yeah,
good.
but there's room for others. I mean, and we hang out and talk. So
it's like
hang out and talk. Have us to do that. You don't get to do it with me very often, so that's.
It's like when you're sitting in a classroom and the teacher says, okay, does anyone have anything to say? And everyone's like, no.
And just advance notice, at the end of October, I will have a Zoom class, and I'll have links for it later, discussing Pluto in Aquarius, putting it in its historical context, tying it to some of the stuff we've been seeing going on politically. The Harris campaign is a perfect example of it. By the way, those of you who don't know about it, there's a Nerds and a Geeks and Nerds for Harris meeting on the 25th with a whole bunch of Star Trek and Star Wars people, hosted by Linda Carter, Wonder Woman. You better believe I'm gonna.
They did that before, right?
Not this one. It's taken this long to get there. And George Takei will be there, and Jonathan Frakes, #1 from Star Trek, and LeVar Burton, and I think Mark Hamill is part of it. And those of you who are really strange and used to watch Adult Swim, Andy Merrill, who was the voice of Brack on Cartoon Planet and Space Ghost, will be there. I love Brack. So I'll post that in the comments for anyone that wants to sign up, because that ought to be a scream.
When is it?
The 24th, Electra Storm says. I thought it was the 25th. It's next Tuesday. Tuesday.
This month. Okay. Speaking of next Tuesday, we'll do a show again. You want to do a show right on the day of the VP debate, if it's happening? Who knows? I'll have to look
yes, and I have enough readings that have come through to do another show.
Yeah, I know. That was a rule. I wasn't going to hold you to it this time, but it is a rule. You know, for Kathy to use all her expertise and experience to do these shows, we like to reward her with at least 2 readings every couple of weeks. So thank you for whoever booked readings. So do you want to say October 1st, which is right, same kind of thing, right before the eclipse?
Sure.
And then
let me double check. I think I have no problem with that.
And just a little sneak preview, that is the night of the debate, the VP debate, which I just think is going to be something to see. The two couldn't be more opposite.
I can do that.
Yeah, okay. So is 3 better or 4 better?
Either. I don't care.
All right, we can stick with 4, if that works.
Okay.
All right. So 4 o'clock on October 1st. There, we've set a date. Have a happy lunar eclipse, everyone. We won't be able to see it.
Go take a bath.
Yeah, go take a bath in the salt water, like Himalayan sea salt water. Or what do you recommend? I don't
Whatever you're drawn to. Whatever you're drawn to.
I have to go in the ocean. I don't have a bathtub. All right. So great. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. I didn't see one word of the chat because the chat wasn't displayed. So I hope you had a good time. And thanks for tuning in, and hit the thumbs up. Please subscribe to this channel and support us by booking readings. All right.
Hold on a second before you go. I have an address for. Let me find out where you are in my lineup here. No. There we go. It's not letting. There we go.
She's sending us somewhere. She's going to give us.
Yes. Geeksforharris.org.
What is it?
Geeksforharris.org.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to pay to be part of it. You get to see all these people.
That's a website.
Yeah, that's how you can sign up to take part in it.
All righty. Let's do it. Okay. Keep the faith, everyone. We're on a roll. We're in a good place. Just got to keep it going. Big blue wave, tsunami, and vote early. Vote. Simon Rosenberg has been saying we need to win this in October. So vote early and tell everyone, make sure you're registered.
Yeah, and just to throw in one other thing, people ask about what's going to happen on Election Day. Well, voting starts way before Election Day, so I'm not sure what happens on Election Day is really all that definitive.
There might not be very many of us voting on Election Day because we're all going to vote early, so it might be a peaceful day. All right, thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, namaste. Bye.
Everything's falling around me. Fog so thick I can hardly see. Nothing is holding me up. Everyone's had enough. No one is really connecting. We act like we are all set, and inside we're drowning in sorrow that'll come to an end. We've got to come together in every kind of weather. We are stronger by oh so much more when we're all joined as one. We'll be like a wave that's crashing, driven by divine, passionate action. We've got to come together and this world will be saved. Whenever there is a challenge, we turn our doubt into courage. There's nothing we cannot do when we are guided by love. We give not into temptation. Our faith is helping our patience. We're reaching out into space and throughout all of time. We've got to come together in every kind of weather. We are stronger by oh so much more when we are all joined as one. We'll be like a wave that's crashing, driven by divine passionate action. We've got to come together and this world will be saved. We've got to come together in every kind of weather. We are stronger by oh so much more when we're all joined as one. We'll be like a wave that's crashing, driven by divine passionate action. We've got to come together and this world will be saved.